There's a rumor going around that in addition to the Switch 2 focused Nintendo Direct that is scheduled to air on April 2nd, I can't do it. I have to take the jacket off. It's too noisy. I have to gesture. I just can't. I can't talk without gesticulating wildly. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, in addition to the Switch 2 Direct, we're going to get another Switch 1 themed Direct sometime in February. And this rumor comes from esteemed leaker Nate the Hate, who very recently accurately claimed that we would be getting a Switch 2 reveal on, last Thursday. It seems during that same podcast episode, he also predicted the Switch 1 Direct in February, and I don't know if everyone was just kind of like, because I didn't initially hear about that part. People just kind of picking pieces out. So now that he was right about the Thursday thing, now everyone's going back and looking at this other part. And the thing about that is the Thursday part still could have just been a good guess. It still could have. I stand by that idea because it still was just a really good time to reveal the Switch 2. But at the same time, you want to be seen as a good leaker. You can't throw too much stuff in there because then if one thing is true and the other thing's not true, then there you go. So again, it could be that he's got some connections to someone who knows what's going on, and that it is true that in addition to the Switch 2 Direct, we're getting a Switch 1 Direct. Knee-jerk reaction. Ow, man! Oh, my knee, Great joke. Moving on, quickly. It seems so unlikely to me. I am aware that we've got, a handful of games coming to Switch 1 this year, but it doesn't feel like enough to make up a whole Direct to me. It feels like there have been times when we have had more than we do now. We have had more games that could use updates, and we have still not gotten a Direct from it. You know what I mean? Nintendo only likes to do a Direct if they have a lot, if they've got a whole lot planned. But right now, we have primarily got Metroid Prime 4, which is probably the best candidate for having some sort of presentation to reveal new stuff. We still know very little about the game. We don't know when it's coming. We've only had one brief trailer. So sure, that's a good one right there. Then we have Xenoblade Chronicles X. That's a remaster of an older game. It is still possible that they're going to give us some new features or something, but that's still it's not like a super brand new game that needs like a whole humongous info dump. That's the kind of thing that you could easily just do in like a trailer on social media or something. You've got Pokemon Legends ZA, but generally those things are revealed in Pokemon Presents presentations, and they're pretty much just always a Pokemon Presents in February. So it's kind of unnecessary to have like Nintendo Direct space for it. Usually it'll be like revealed in the Pokemon presentation and then like a reminder in the main Nintendo one. Or if they wanted to, they could tease it in the Pokemon one and do the full reveal in the Nintendo one. But overall, I would just say it's not necessary. And then, forgive me if I'm forgetting something. I feel like the other like main like Switch exclusive game would be Professor Layton. But hasn't Level 5 done their own presentations in the past? I can't remember. They did reveal Professor Layton during a Nintendo Direct. So, okay, that could be another pretty good one. It still just does not seem like a lot to me, especially considering... I know we've been here before. I know we've said this before, but it's even more true now. At this point, it's a little hard to believe that Nintendo is going to have a lot of new stuff to announce for the Switch 1. I know that they're... Oh, no! Uh-oh. Oh, I've been using my... Sorry to get off topic again. I've been using my nephew's fidget toy. Little squishy ball. I think I broke it. I really think it's broken this time. Oh, no. Don't tell him. Please don't tell him. Oh, I gotta buy him a new one. It's got air bubbles in it now. Oh, no. I keep it in my cold office, and it gets really hard, and it's really good for squishing. I think I broke it. Okay, I'm gonna put that down. Don't touch that anymore. Maybe I can tape it. Anyway, I mean, I have no doubt that Nintendo is going to keep announcing things for the Switch 1, and it's probably going to be like the 3DS, and like we have been seeing, just some, like, easy remasters and stuff. There was the rumor of, like, Kirby Planet Robobot or something. Sure, I guess that does technically mean that those could be brand new announcements, and that could be well suited to a Nintendo Direct. So it's like, it is possible. I just think I have a problem believing that Nintendo would have two different Nintendo Directs, like, announced and coming at the same time, especially if they were only like 2 months away. That is weird. And obviously, if Nintendo, I don't believe Nintendo's ever done something quite like that before. If they haven't, then that doesn't necessarily mean they couldn't. Obviously, they could do anything that they haven't done before. Sure. It just seems a little bit weird. If we were going to get a Direct for just the Switch, I would say it would be, that would be well suited for a Direct Mini. And a Direct Mini is the kind of thing that they usually don't even, like, necessarily announce ahead of time. I want to say there's been 1 or 2 times they've, like, shadow dropped a Mini. And that could work, and you know, and that would kind of solve a little bit of the issue of having 2 Directs announced at a time. But then the problem with that is they are weirdly stingy with their Direct Minis. Again, there have been plenty of times where they've had a lot to announce, and they've ended up just giving it to us on Twitter. Even like collections of trailers over the course of like a few days, we'll get like just a bunch of them, and it's just kind of like, why didn't you just kind of gather them all up and put them into a mini? They're really choosy about when they do minis, and I don't know what makes it happen. It's got to just be some exact little combination of announcements and third-party announcements or something. But yeah, they don't do them a lot. They've done like a few during the Switch generation, like just a few. And you know, I don't know, maybe it does make sense. I'm trying to open myself up to the idea. Maybe it does make sense, because when the Switch came out, we really did see something of a divide between game announcements for Switch and for 3DS. Remember the E3 2017 Nintendo Direct? They announced like a bunch of games, and it was amazing, and we thought it couldn't possibly get better. And then, like, I just woke up the next day or something, and they had apparently announced Samus Returns. Like, to me, that was another bombshell announcement. Another Metroid game. They announced a 3D Metroid game, and then they announced a 2D Metroid game. But for whatever reason, they just, like, they didn't even have a presentation to put it in. They just released it separately because they just didn't want to announce 3DS games along with Switch games for whatever reason. Maybe they thought they didn't look impressive enough or something like that. And so it could be a situation like that now where, you know, we're going to get the Switch 2 Direct, and it could be that going forward, they don't really want to talk much about brand new Switch 1 games during Switch 2 presentations. I could be wrong. Moving forward, you know, after the April one, maybe we'll get another one in September, and maybe it'll have both. Maybe they just want to keep them separated right now. But if there is a desire to keep some sort of separation, then you also have to consider that this situation is pretty different from the 3DS one, where the Switch essentially came and replaced the 3DS. It really did. Nintendo said they didn't want to, but it did. All of the games they released during the last, like, year or two of the 3DS's life, they were all just, like, really safe remasters and things. They didn't do very well. Obviously, the Switch was the big, new, amazing, cool graphical thing. And in this situation, the 3DS had a great run. It had really great whole generation. But the Switch has done even better. It's even stronger. It's still selling games by the boatload. So it could be that, yeah, if we want to keep these things separated, then that means we're going to have a whole presentation for Switch 2 games. But darn it, we still just have so many games to release for the original Switch. There is still so much life in this thing. And if we're going to be, even if all of the games going forward are going to be, you know, pretty kind of low effort, kind of cheap budget-ish games, safe remasters, and like still cool games, but just, you know, all of the big games are being developed for Switch too, then maybe it does make sense that they are just, no, of course we need to have a dedicated presentation for the Switch one. We've still got all this stuff, you know? Yeah, but all the stuff that I listed, Metroid, Pokemon, Layton, and Xenoblade, but then, like, if they have, you know, 2 or 3 other remasters or something to reveal, and then some, like, you know, obviously third-party stuff is still rolling in for the Switch. We're not going to go straight over to Switch 2, where suddenly, just like one day, every single game that comes out is releasing for the Switch 2. Obviously, it doesn't work that way. So I don't know. I guess it kind of sounds like I'm convincing myself that it's possible to get a presentation for Switch 1 in February. It still feels weird to me. It still feels strange. It still feels like the kind of thing where if it is a direct, it's going to be a mini or something, not like a full one. I could still just see, I mean, like any day now, I could see them just releasing a new trailer with a release date for Metroid Prime 4, and there you go. One of the biggest reasons to have a direct is it's just gone. It's just up in smoke. So yeah, I don't know. Now, it is worth mentioning, this was not something that was just said by Nate the Hate. Apparently, it was also corroborated by Brazilian journalist Pedro Henrique Luti Lipe. He also says that we're going to get some sort of Switch 1 Direct in February. So, you know, whenever it's just one random person, you know, the grain of salt is a bit bigger, a bit saltier. But, you know, if you get multiple people in there, then it's a little more credible. It is possible. It definitely is. It would be cool. I mean, obviously, I would love that. You know, it's going to be so hard to wait for April. If we could get another one just for Switch 1 in February, that'd be great. Even though, at this point, I don't think Nintendo is going to reveal anything about the Switch 2 until April. And at that time, if there is some sort of, like, you know, backwards compatibility, next-gen upgrade kind of system, they'll outline it then. But in the meantime, it is going to be a little bit hard to get excited about any game announced for Switch 1 without some sort of confirmation that these games will run better on Switch 2. Like, especially if it ends up being a game that I care about. Oh man, they're remastering this game that I love on Switch 1 with low resolution and frame rate when the Switch 2 is coming in, like, months. And, like, I'm gonna be stuck with it. Like, that's disappointing, you know? Like, look at DKC Returns HD. I love that game. I wish it wasn't on Switch 1. I'm at this point where, like, I'm ready for the next thing. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be a little bit weird, and I don't want that to hurt any of those games. I really am afraid that if there isn't some sort of, like, upgrade system, then these late-gen Switch 1 games are not gonna do super well. But I don't know. Now we're really getting into a whole separate discussion there. I guess I should stop. I picked up the fidget toy again, and I think I am breaking it more, and I cannot stop myself. It is so squishy, so I'm going to I've got to really put it down over there where I can't reach it, and I'm also going to put my jacket back on because it's freezing!